Your legs are the biggest muscles in your body, and that's what actually could be slowing you down. Have you ever seen the fastest swimmers? It looks like they're swimming through the water, just floating, barely using any energy. Meanwhile, you're over here kicking and screaming in the water, just trying to get to the other end, and you feel absolutely gassed. So then how are the best swimmers able to swim so efficiently, and they look like they're not even kicking and they're not even using any energy? Let me explain. First of all, we have our human physiology. Think about your legs. The biggest muscle in your body is your gluteus maximus, your butt. And that accounts for 15 to 20% of total cardiac output when you're doing nothing. When you start to use your legs and you start kicking, that can go up to 80 to 90%. So your legs are a massive power suck for your body. The more you kick, the more blood is going to rush to your glutes and the rest of your legs, and it's gonna make you really, really tired. The next thing we gotta talk about is physics. Remember, water is 800 times more dense than air. So if you're swimming with drag and your legs create a lot of drag, it's gonna make it that much harder to move through the water. For example, if your head position is not on point and your eyes are looking forward, your legs are actually going to sink. And because your legs are sinking, even if you're kicking and you're trying your hardest and your blood is pumping, your heart is pumping blood to your legs, it's gonna not only suck up all of your energy, but it's also gonna create a ton of drag and displacement, which is going to make you swim slower. So if we wanna fix this and we wanna actually improve our efficiency with not just our kick, but our entire body, it's all about alignment, making sure that our eyes are looking down. Because when we improve our head position, our whole body alignment is actually going to improve because we cannot escape physics. Remember this number, 800 times more dense than air. We look down, our legs come up, and the rest of our body will follow. That allows us to have a more narrow kick. If you think about the amplitude of your kick, you want to feel like you're kicking inside of a cylinder. And what that means is we're actually going to focus on displacing less water with our kick. So instead of kicking with an amplitude of 1 meter, instead we want to narrow down our kick, and we really want to focus on kicking with an amplitude that is only about 1/3 of a meter, about 1 foot, 12 inches, 15 inches, nothing more than that. Because any more than that, we're going to create more displacement, and that displacement is not only what's making us tired, but it's actually slowing us down. Because even though we think that we're gonna go faster by kicking more, kicking bigger, kicking harder, it's actually going to slow us down because we're simply displacing more water than we're getting the added benefit of the increase in propulsion from our kick. Now let's focus on how we can actually improve our technique for our kicks so we can swim faster. So when it comes to kicking technique, it's actually pretty simple. What you wanna do is you'd start on land, you wanna have your legs pretty much straight. Your toes are pointed, and you wanna focus on kicking with your hips. You wanna increase the length of your paddle. And so you don't wanna bend your knees and do like a bicycle kick because the distance of which we have to pull from is a lot smaller. Remember, we wanna be long and slender. So we wanna focus on keeping our legs straight. We're gonna kick with our hips, and a great drill you can do this on land is to focus on keeping your toes pointed. It's a great core exercise, but what you're really using are your hip flexors. That's the thing that connects your legs to the rest of your body. And you can focus on doing this on land. Then when you go into the water, it's a lot easier. So really make sure you're focusing on keeping your legs straight, pointing your toes, activating your core, and this is a kick in 2 directions. So you can do this on your stomach, a Superman. So that way you're lifting your leg up, you're using your hamstrings, your glutes, and your lower back, and then on the other direction of the kick, you're using your quads, your hip flexors, and your abs. Both sides of the kick are very, very important, and this is what creates propulsion. But like I mentioned before, if you have too big of a kick and your amplitude is too large, you're actually gonna create more displacement than you're gonna create propulsion, and that's not what we want. So instead, really focus on keeping the amplitude of the kick less than 1/2 of a meter. That's about this much distance. And you can focus on doing this on land, your heel all the way to the top of the toe. This should be less than 1/2 of a meter. If your leg is coming up really high, it means you're bending your knees, and that's not gonna be fast. So if you're serious about leveling up your swimming, and you wanna work with myself and our world-class team to not only analyze your technique, but to build connections, create amazing memories, and go on an adventure of a lifetime, you have to check out our swim retreats. We go to exotic locations all over the world. It's 1 week, all inclusive. the meals, the people, the coaching, the training, the vibe. It is truly an unforgettable experience. So make sure you check out the link down below so we can join you in paradise. Now, one of the best things that you can do to improve your kick technique is how you do it in training. Now, the best way to kick is not on your stomach with a kickboard, it's actually on your back in streamline. Lock up your streamline and focus on doing that drill I just showed you on land, where your toes are pointed and you're keeping your legs almost absolutely straight. Now, a great drill that you can do this with is fins. Make sure they're the shorter fins, not the scuba fins. And these things will extend your foot, increase the resistance, but you don't really want to add these until you've got the basics nailed down. Once you have the basics, you can add some resistance, and there are different stiffnesses of fin that will make it harder. So the more advanced of a swimmer, the harder of a fin. Like this one's pretty hard. You want a softer fin when you're just getting started. It's going to be too much resistance otherwise if the fin is too hard. So one way you can improve your kick is after you've nailed it on your back, you can start to flip it in different positions. So now we can kick the flutter kick, where you're pointing your toes, on your stomach. You can do it in streamline, you can do it with a snorkel. Then you can kick on your side, on your right side, on your left side. You can go 12 meters, half the pool on your right, half the pool on your left. When you get more advanced, you can go one length on your right, one length on your left. You can do an entire series of sets and intervals where you're doing different variations of kick. Another variation is doing it completely underneath the water, whether it's the flutter kick or the dolphin kick, which is the next variation of this. That's how you can develop your kick, improve your feel of the water, your timing, and your strength. Now, there are quite a few different variations of the kick that you might see in freestyle. Not all freestyle is created equal. You might see some elite swimmers in their training and it looks like their legs are just dragging behind them. Maybe there's a kick here and there for balance. On the flip side, you look at the fastest swimmers in the world, 50-meter freestyle, and they have an absolute motorboat behind them, full kick. You can't even count how many kicks they're taking because it's so many. And then there's somewhere in between. And so depending on how fast you're going, how long you're swimming, and your general training physiology and history, that's what's going to dictate how many kicks you should actually take. So for most swimmers, when they're getting started, all the way to the elite level, if you're swimming for longer distances, you want to do what's called a 2-beat kick. And this simply means for every arm stroke that you take, the opposite leg is going to have one kick. Stroke, kick, stroke, kick. And what this is really doing, it's balance. It's not really there for propulsion. So you're compensating for the fact that you have propulsion and rotational momentum coming from one side of your body, and you need to have balance on the other side to be able to keep your body in line. You don't want to be wiggling through the water. And so it becomes much more difficult if you don't have any kick, because the kick is there to balance. If you're swimming a longer event, you're going to have one kick for every arm stroke. Now, if you're going really fast, you're actually going to have what's called a 6-beat kick. This is where you have 3 kicks for every arm stroke. It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a continuous motion. And then in between is something like a 4-beat kick. A lot of this depends on your strength level, your feel of the water, your flexibility, and of course your training. And so anywhere between 2 and a 6-beat kick is normal, but you're gonna wanna be on either side of that most of the time. And the way that you can know what type of kick you should have is really dependent on how fast you're going, which is defined by your effort level. So what we've done in the MySwimPro app is we've incorporated these different effort energy levels. And this really tells you how fast you should swim. The app will even give you a recommended goal time on the set. So if it's something like race pace or best average, you're gonna need a 6-beat kick. Turbocharge all the way, full kick. If it's anything else, whether it's the warm-up set or the endurance or anything that's easy, you're going to have a 2-beat kick. And this gives you a good framework so you know how you should be swimming and how you should be transitioning your technique depending on how fast you're going. And of course, this factors in to how long the distance is that you're swimming. The longer the distance, the less kicking. The shorter the distance, the higher the rate of speed, the more kicking we're gonna need. Now, one of the key techniques that a lot of swimmers have difficulty with is breathing. How often do you breathe? How do you breathe? And how do you do so in a way that allows you to keep swimming longer using less energy? Now, if you want to learn how you should be breathing and swimming, make sure you check out this video over here. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.